You're listening to Cat Tales.
Hi, I'm Kat, and you're listening to Cat Tales. Gizz Butt became a household name in 1996 when he became lead guitarist with the Prodigy, just as the Fat of the Land album became number one in 38 countries at the same time. But that's not all he's done in his musical career. He's been in English Dogs, TheMoreISee, The Destructors, and played live with the Foo Fighters and the Beatles' Pete Best. Now he's about to relaunch his band Janus Stark with an exciting new release and is planning a tour. This is the one with Gizz Butt. So here I am in sunny Peterborough, and it's a beautiful sunny day.
Has been for a while.
It's beautiful, isn't it? And I'm sitting here with Gizz Butt, so welcome to the show.
How are you doing, Kat?
I'm doing really well.
Welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
Listeners.
Yes, listeners. So what brings a man like you to a place like this?
Peterborough.
Yeah.
Fate, life, my parents. Things were going a bit strange in Manchester. It was when I was like 10, 11 years old. And my dad, bless him, he was getting into a little bit of trouble on the old juice. Mm-hmm. And something happened in Manchester where he basically got into an accident and he got his driving licence revoked. Mm-hmm. And he was working for Hotpoint, and it just looked a better opportunity for him to get down to Peterborough, and he wouldn't need a car for a while. Yeah. So, and he would get promotion. And I think that Hotpoint was developing at that time. So it'd be like 1977, 78. So he went for it. And we came down and we moved into Wharton, Melbourne, and it was all very new. Yeah. And I moved into a new school. I started off at Orton Longville, but then I went into a school called Bushfield. Yes. And it was very new, and there was only 3 years there, first, second and third, and it was a good time.
Yeah, sounds like you've got some fond memories of it. Well, of course, at that time, Hotpoint was very big here, wasn't it, in Peterborough?
Yeah, and music was very big. 78, there was, the punk rock explosion was starting to... The tentacles of it were like going out into new wave and such. There was a lot of music everywhere, and there was a lot of great bands, and you'd watch Top of the Pops and there'd always be good bands on it. And 11, 12 years old and picking up a guitar, I'd already started to play the guitar when I was living in Manchester, and I was already like a big fan of the Beatles, and I was already a fan of, I loved Lynyrd Skynyrd. Mm-hmm. The first thing I wanted to do was learn how to play Lynyrd Skynyrd
Freebird
material, but there was no way I was going to... Well, actually, my favourite song was a song called Things Going On. Okay. And there was no way I was going to play that. So instead I was learning Beatles songs and punk rock, which was, happening in Manchester, because that was like the sister city to London as far as the punk rock scene was concerned. And the bands were getting some coverage, and they were playing up there, and you could see Sex Pistols play in Anarchy in the UK on Granada TV at 10:30 on a Sunday evening. So that was quite exciting, because they were banned, so it was like, what's the fuss about? And it was a good time. But then moving to Peterborough, being a northerner, coming into an eastern city, which was very different. I came from a place that was full of cotton mill chimneys, and coming into a place of flat fields, and
bit of a shock.
It was different. I was just at that age, but I was like torn away from any friendships that I'd made, and I had to start afresh. And the first friendship that I had was with my guitar.
Yeah, I can see that, and actually, I can see that would be your friend and actually your confidant in a way, and allow you also to express yourself and to get out some of those emotions of that upheaval, I guess, for somebody of 11. Yeah. So the punk rock movement obviously attracted you. What particular part of that was it? The freedom, the expression, the fact that you could just say anything
the
you want?
sound was great. There was an energy to it that obviously existed within a lot of great heavy rock bands, but this was speaking more to me. You know, obviously, if I'd been a little bit older, maybe it'd been different. I might have picked up on things like, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin. I did actually get some of that through my brother, because he was a big heavy rock fan. And but punk rock, it was at that age, As I said before, then it was all Beatles. Yeah. But I was just at that age, and I was interested in this thing, and there was so much energy in it. It's the energy.
Yeah.
I mean, there were people saying there's a lot of swearing going on, it's outrageous. I guess when you're 11, that's quite attractive.
Yes, absolutely. It certainly is, isn't
They
it?
probably are at all ages.
Yes.
But the music, just one after another, just hearing the music of the Sex Pistols, the Clash, the Damned, Buzzcocks, Eddie and the Hot Rods, the endless stream of UK subs, Angelic Upstarts, and the new wave bands, so like or post-punk bands, Joy Division, Magazine, the Cars, Boomtown Rats.
Sure.
It was just one
amazing.
after another.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
It was just this is the most exciting time for music.
Yeah, I think that's true actually, and I speak to a lot of artists who were in punk bands, and they all say the same thing about that energy and the fact that you could really get something to, and felt that you were making a difference, because I think at that time Britain needed a difference, didn't it?
Yeah. And I needed a difference at that age. So when I was 12 and I was, in school making new friends and picking up a guitar and forming a band, and then I was getting my first band together and playing, I think the first song I ever played live was The Kids Are Alright.
Okay.
The Who song.
Good choice.
Eddie and the Hot Rods did a cover of that, by the way, in the Teenage Depression album.
Oh, right.
And
you know your music.
and I really, so I was doing that, and then covering Tonight, Drummer Man, and Sex Pistols stuff inside the school.
Right.
When you're a school band,
it's pretty cool.
it is great. People pay attention to you. You get some recognition,
just a bit, and lots of attention from the opposite sex too, which goes down quite well.
People like you because you've got something.
You're popular.
And then, of course, you're right, writing lyrics, and learning about what you're writing lyrics about.
Yes, yeah.
So for the first time, it was kind of like, well, it's actually good to maybe deny someone of, what they're trying to impose on you, or to refuse something or to question something, and to learn about what it is that's being expected or demanded of you, and do you agree with it? Is it part of your inner moral? And is this the route that you want to take?
That's interesting. So did you find that music was actually a kind of therapy to allow you to explore those feelings within yourself?
It was. I mean, it was a way of learning things and just asking this question, what route do I want to go down?
Yeah.
Because, when you're a youngster, you experience things and you just make your decision, is this where I want to be?
Yeah, sure.
And, I saw a lot of aggression. When I was living in Manchester, and I saw it, in the family. My dad was quite an aggressive person. He was always going out and drinking every night. But he was a good person, he meant well, but unfortunately he was part of his generation.
Sure.
And I just had to question that. Did I want to be part of that? No, I didn't. But I'm not saying he didn't do anything good, he did. And I'm not saying that any of those people didn't do anything good, they did. Well, they were products of their generation. Why are they drinking every night? They're probably trying to blot something out.
Yeah, sure.
They're probably trying to sort of, it's a painkiller.
Yes.
It's a painkiller for a crap way of living.
Yes.
So I
thought,
needed to question those kind of things.
And thought that's not for you as well. You didn't want a future like that, maybe, and just.
No, I didn't want his future, but I think that's always part of something. As it's a constant, never-ending thing. You never stop doing it.
Yeah.
You always question: am I putting myself in my own prison?
Yeah.
A prison of my own making, and if I am doing, then I need to sort of like quickly get the key.
Yes, absolutely. No, you're right there, actually. And I think life gives you those times, doesn't it, where it presents it and you think to yourself, actually, I'm at a crossroads now, and perhaps I've got to free myself, or perhaps I've got to make sure that I don't get bound into something that I don't want to. And perhaps I'm suggesting maybe that music has given you a way of not be conforming in a way, actually having that freedom to go and kick against the trends and do something different.
It gives you many things. I mean, it gives you great friendships, the best in the world, and the actual music, which in itself, which is absolutely magical.
Yeah.
And what you can do with that, where you can be creative.
Yeah.
And you can get lost in it.
Yes.
If you need a painkiller, I think the best one is music.
Yeah, either playing it or listening to it. So either way, it's a two-way street, isn't it?
Yeah.
So after, coming down here, you've obviously been in quite a few bands, during that time of adolescence, shall we say. How did you get the big break for you, really, which you've got to say is the Prodigy, possibly the biggest band in terms of names? Do you feel that was your biggest break, or was there another one?
Well, it was the biggest breakers in terms of sales.
Yeah.
You could say that when Gizz Butt was in the Prodigy, they were at their commercial peak.
Yeah.
They experienced having a #1 album in 38 countries consecutively.
Wow. That's brilliant, isn't
Yeah.
it? That is some record, isn't
So,
it?
I mean,
You've got to be proud of that.
Whatever anyone says, when I was with them, when I joined them, it was like, they were still enjoying the success of Firestarter, and then shortly after me being with them for a short space, length of time, it was Smack. No, it was Breathe, yeah. On the B side of the Breathe single, they also added a live cover of Their Law. My name is mentioned on that.
Oh, great.
If you hear it.
Great.
That could be an opportunity for playing it.
Okay.
But, you'd probably be deleting a few of the words.
That's the only problem.
And, then after that, there was Smack My Bitch Up, which, these singles all went to #1.
Yeah.
Maybe Smack My Bitch Up went to #2. But, #1, #2.
Yeah.
It was
Either
a good
way,
place.
my God, that's an accolade, isn't it? Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
And, no, I think it was #1. But anyway...
It's so long ago we can't remember.
I have to
It was
look
good.
back. But it was a successful time, and being in a band that has a #1, which I did. I was
Yeah.
in a band and we had a
Yeah.
#1, so
Doesn't get
I
any better.
experienced that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you could have a #1 and it's your songs or you're part of the team
Sure.
that wrote them. I did have that. I enjoyed that feeling with Janus Stark. We had a top 40 hit,
Yes.
so that was a great feeling.
So in a way, you've got the #1 which you're performing on, but actually when you're writing
Yeah.
and also inputting, it is a different feeling,
and,
isn't it?
The leader of the band. I mean, Janus Stark is a band that it was essentially my band.
Sure.
So that in itself has its thing. When you bring people together, or when something changes and you say, right, we're going to start afresh and we're doing it this way, and I've got an idea of doing it like this. We've followed your way for the last few years. That didn't work. Now we're going to do it my way.
Sure.
And that's what happened with Janus Stark.
And did that sort of the feeling of, I'm not going to say power, but control, I think, isn't it? The fact that you're controlling your destiny, controlling choices. Did that...
Controlling choices.
Yeah. Or maybe not.
The thing is there's a sound that I hear, and that's what I would like to hear. There's a musical legacy that I guess all musicians leave behind.
Sure.
And you want it to be the thing that you was aiming for. And with Janus Stark, that is the musical legacy that I was aiming for.
Wow.
I did it with some other things as well. I was quite happy about... I had a band called TheMoreISee. I think we did quite well with some of that. But Janus Stark definitely overall gave me the best feeling. There's a certain thing that for me gives me absolute happiness. I love the sound of a great loud guitar. I love the sound of you know, an up-tempo beat. You know, I love the sound. I like the sound of a guitar solo.
Sure.
You know, so
you're able
bunch
to
of ingredients.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a mixing pot, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been
Cracking snare, shimmering hi-hat. You know, there's certain things that in a sound, you know, you want. Now, in Janus Stark, I had the ability to be able to control that sound because this is the turning point. You know, this is my band now.
Mm-hmm.
So the album that we came out with was Great Adventure Cigar, and it was mixed by a producer called Terry Thomas. He produced and mixed it, and we used a wealth of instruments on that. We used guitars like 1959 Les Pauls that previously belonged to Mick Jones, a foreigner.
Terrific.
And we had like Marshalls that had been souped up that belonged to Bad Company and things like this. So we had this great equipment and this man at the helm, and then with me saying those guitars are going to get turned up.
Yeah, to 11.
You know, previously they hadn't.
No. Do you look back on those days and think, do you know, I wish that I was still involved in that? I mean, obviously you're involved in music now. We'll come on to talk about that. But do you look back on those days thinking, although the younger days were the best, or is it actually now what you're doing today that you feel is the best accolade that you will leave?
Well, the Prodigy, the reason why I'm not in them anymore is because things got messy. And I mean, I will always believe that Liam is a great songwriter and he is the genius behind that band. But it's not a normal band.
No.
It's not a band that went from being in a transit van and touring up and down the UK to, you know, getting a hit. It was a band that was born from the rave culture.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was Liam who was the songwriting genius, who was influenced by rock bands and grunge bands and punk bands.
Yeah.
And he was the genius that was trying to bring this through in the way how he did it. The other guys that he had in the band were good entertainers, but they weren't musicians.
Right, okay.
And so, you know, certain things took priority over, you know, what should be the music. So, like, for instance, you know, it's one of the trappings of success is you find like a hierarchy going on.
Yeah.
And, you know, I believe that, you know, a couple of the people involved in the band kind of lost their original true self. I mean, I could even say that to an extent about myself because, you know, before I joined that band, you know, I was, you know, a punk rock guitarist in the English Dogs and had all, you know, I wore tight black jeans.
Yeah.
And next minute I'm, you know, hanging out with people that have got a heck of a lot of money.
Yes.
And maybe I'm losing some of my vision.
Yeah, it's
But
interesting.
I did get it back.
Yes.
And I'm glad I've got it back because, you know, that part of things I don't miss. I mean, obviously I could go back there and say, oh, well, if I had that success now, I'd do it differently. And of course I would.
Yeah.
But
It's interesting how many people say that, you know.
I enjoyed having that time, and I can't see any reason why I can't have that time again, but with a different setup, you know. I really believe that I can. But, you know, like what I was saying earlier, when you're with people that have got this shared experience of going from, you know, a rough environment, not particularly comfortable, being in a transit van, and, you know, the mad things that we used to do. We used to create seats in the back of the van, totally illegal. We didn't have seats there. We put speaker caps on and we draped the backdrops over it and made it look like a seat. Everyone sits in the back of that and then go travelling around Europe on that.
Oh, wow.
You know, and we did that and we got away with it. And we got stopped by the police and we still didn't get prosecuted. And we did that for years, and that kind of experience, you know. And we slept on floors, and we ate with different kind of people. We ate all forms of food, vegetarian, vegan. We ate with people that were quite, you know, tough guys. Then we ate with people that were very peaceful guys. But everyone treated us with respect, and, you know, we were able to go from that level onto another level with the mind of the first level. But the thing is, with the Prodigy, I really believe that first level was never there in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's odd looking back. You also obviously have a different view of it than you did at the time. And what was interesting there that you said that perhaps you also changed with that process of being part of such a successful setup. Do you feel that now the other side of it, you're able to bring through those experiences and learn from them sufficiently to enhance what you're doing?
Well, right now, what I'm doing is thinking of like a video that I'm creating for a song, which is like the comeback song for Janus Stark.
Right.
So instead of doing what I could have done like many years ago, which was, I need to write 12, 15, 17 songs, create an album, then let's see what I'm going to do with it next.
Yeah.
This time round, I'm actually thinking, well, I've written a number of songs, a certain amount of them have come to completion, one of them's really polished, I'm doing a video for that. So I'm actually, for me, the whole representation of the video with the song and then putting that right out there onto YouTube and Facebook and, you know, whatever platforms. But even this one song to start off with is more important because, you know, time is important.
Yes, it is. It's amazing that you're saying this because I've spoken to quite a few artists in a very similar position to you who are taking exactly the same kind of approach. And instead of having the old, I guess call it the old-fashioned way, but the good old way of doing the whole album, putting it out there, they are looking at that one song and let's do the whole package and mark it on the back of that.
Or, what I would like to do a video for every song and it goes out like that, video after video after video. There's certain things that what I would like to do. I live in Peterborough, and I've seen a lot of Peterborough, and I've seen a lot of great places. I've seen a lot of places that hold something special for me. There's various parts of Peterborough that I've got a lot of strong feelings for.
Yeah.
And it's really just part of growing up here and appreciating this area and this city and the people in it.
Right.
Which are some of the and also the music here. I've been in New Orleans and thought to myself, the music in Peterborough is better.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I mean that.
Yes.
Yeah. So the musicianship in this area is top notch, and the people are great. So I thought, you know, each video could have some symbol, some Peterborough item in there. I mean, right now we're sat here at the embankment, which in itself
iconic in itself, isn't it?
A site, an area, and there's different reasons why. On the embankment, if I look to my left, the Destructors played an outdoor performance here in 1983, which was a great time. And that performance, the video of that now is still on YouTube, and that is a legacy that it's leaving, which that's the kind of legacy that I want to leave, because as time goes, these beautiful things that you experience, that you happen, that you think, they get lost in the ether unless you put them out there. Yeah. You know, and I want to do that and hold to it. You know, people that have shown me kindness, and also, you know, these places that I'll use the word resonate. It's
I get you. I get it.
Word that everyone likes to use. They resonate with me. If you think of Peterborough, what places do you think of? You know, you'll think of the cathedral. You'll think of the Lido or something like that. You know, if you think hard enough, you're going to get a lot of them. Thorpe Hall. Just keep on thinking. They are there. People keep on saying Peterborough's got nothing. Get out of it.
It sounds like you want to be a nice ambassador for the place. It's got into your heart there. Despite, has Manchester now left you?
No, I love Manchester. I love Liverpool.
And Liverpool.
Yeah, my great granddad was a conductor in a theatre in Birkenhead.
Oh wow, Birkenhead.
Yeah, and when the talkies came along, it might have even been earlier than that. I think that when the talkies came along, the work dried up. So he moved to Manchester with my grandma, so his daughter. Yeah. And to take on the work that was still present then in Manchester, but then that dried up. Yes. And so my grandma met my granddad in Manchester, and the family sort of, my mum met my dad. Yeah. And then, I was born over there, and then we moved down here to Peterborough. But yeah, my great-granddad, he actually drank himself to death because of no work.
No. And then you've gone into an industry that is actually renowned for those kind of temptations, shall we say, sex, drugs, rock and roll, and drink. Have you, how have you managed to retain yourself without going down a similar route?
Well, you hear these words, don't you? Dogging.
Right.
Felching. Strip poker. It sounds quite attractive.
That's the secret then.
Or
perhaps you wouldn't like to comment.
It's all a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, of course.
It's I remember being at school when we used to try and make ourselves faint. We used to really breathe really hard, for about a minute non-stop, and then a friend of ours would come up behind us and squeeze really hard, and we'd just faint. And for us, that was it'd be really bad. And then, but I remember when I was 14, and I'd see people around town glue sniffing, and I thought, oh man, that's bad. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Never done that.
There are limits. But it is a difficult industry, isn't it? I mean, it's changed a lot over the years as well, though. I think everybody now is coming out the other side of those sort of bad days, aren't they, now?
I was in a German band for 3 years, and the band was Genesis, so I had a great time. But the booze was just really just becoming way too important. We'd arrive at the venue, the lead singer and the bassist straight away. I'm going to start drinking now.
Yes.
And it was hold on, wait a minute, we've got a gig to do. I've just been practicing like crazy to make sure that we're perfect. Get on the stage. Yeah. All you hear is these notes getting dropped everywhere by everyone. Yeah. And it's oh man.
Yeah.
So I was stuck that for 3 years, and then I just thought, this is just not what I want at all. And people turning up to the gig and then just hitting the bottle from the second that they walk into the dressing room, and then when you're on stage, actually during the course of the actual gig, having 10 vodka and orange, or just having 10 gins or 10 Bacardis during the course of the gig, and just constantly playing wrong notes. No way, I don't want that. No, that was a drag. And the worst thing is, all right, there might be, you might sort of come across someone who's involved in some other recreational thing or whatever, and that, that gets treated as if you're a criminal, and yet, you're going and hitting that bottle every time, it's just no, well, that's not the way for me. I want to get on stage with a clear head and, play some really good music
and perform well. There's so many musicians say the same thing now, that they've sort of come through that phase, and actually now they're into vegan diets and sparkling water and actually proper preparation before they do go on stage.
It's if you want to play really well before a gig, that's great, isn't it? Just for a start, that I mean, I've played with the Dizzy Miss Lizzies, and it's probably one of the most fun band that I've ever played with in my life, which is essentially a cover band. And started off by playing Beatles covers. We played with Pete Best in Liverpool, and we've done gigs in Peterborough where the first set everyone's completely just have water, and then on the second set you'll have a couple of drinks. By the end of the set, you maybe I could have had one less, but we're kind of involved with the audience, and we're the course of the evening has been going with the audience, because those gigs you do a long set, you can play for 3 hours. So at the beginning of the night, everyone's kind of very, very, totally 100% sober, and then by the end of the night you might have had a couple of shandies, but essentially you're entertaining the audience, and you're growing with, as the night goes, you go with your audience, and you're bringing them in, and they're having fun with you. As long as you're able to still pull it off on that last note, as long as you're still not making a fool of yourself, then you've done it, and hitting the notes, of course.
Of course. So it sounds to me like you like that live performance and the interaction with the audience. Is that sort of better than the recording sessions and actually the sale of the music?
Well, no, the recording sessions is what sticks around afterwards, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that really means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Because that's the legacy.
Yes, yeah.
I love playing to people, and I love when we play with them, I get them involved,
Sure.
I get them singing along, I get them dancing, I get them on the tables, maybe ripping items of clothing off, if it's getting a bit hot. But just getting them smiling, for me, the whole thing is more like projecting a feeling of love, and getting them to maybe see that and feel it themselves and pass that on.
Yeah. So the video that you're now currently doing, how far down the stage are you of getting it produced?
It's going to be filmed in 2 different locations, and we have a treatment.
Ooh.
That's the correct word.
Oh, I say.
Yeah, which is a storyboard.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got 2 locations. So I've said that already.
Mm-hmm.
The locations are really great.
Mm-hmm.
I have some people to thank for that.
Locally,
I
are
don't
they?
know if I should name their names because they might not want me to, but
Mm-hmm.
they know who they are.
Right.
Cheers, Justin. And Phil Berridge is the director, so and I'm going to say a quick thanks to Mark Simlow as well, because he's right behind this first one.
Brilliant.
And it's just great. The
wow.
places that we've got. Yeah.
Sounds exciting. So when is it out then?
Well, the first filming's on August the 4th.
Wow.
So that's the first one. Then
Yep.
we've got to do the second one.
Yeah.
And then we've got to do the edit. But
Autumn.
everything's always like time restraints
I
all the
know.
time, because August is it's a difficult month. I'm going on holiday for a start.
It's your fault then, really, isn't it?
Well, the holiday was booked first.
Oh dear. Oh. Well, do you know what? It's been a pleasure speaking to you. I can't wait to see the video.
Before we leave
Yeah.
together, I can, but not for this, but
Yeah.
I can give you a quick preview of the song.
Oh, I'd just love to hear that. Love to hear it. A sneaky
Step
sneaky
inside
bit.
and-
Perfect.
Yeah.
That would
For
be
your
great.
ears only.
For my ears only. Love it. Oh, that'd be absolutely wonderful. Well, I wish you all the best with the whole music stuff that's coming out, the new stuff. I can't wait to
New
hear.
Janus Stark.
The new Janus Stark, the videos, which certainly sound like they're going to be exciting and going to be leading the way, which has got to be the way, hasn't it, with visuals as well as the audio,
Yes.
and tells the story, doesn't it?
And the first comeback gig in the UK, which
Yeah.
will be November the 24th
Okay.
at the Ostrich in Peterborough.
Wow.
And I promise that will be like a very fun-packed and packed night. It's going to be hot in there. There's going to be people like literally right up to the ceiling. There's going to be people in there, they're going to have to dance on the bar.
They're going to have to. That'll be me. I will be there.
On the tables and the bar.
Absolutely. You can guarantee it. Well, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish you all the success with everything else. I really do.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you.
You've been listening to Cat Tales. To listen again to this and other tales, go to cattales.co.uk.